After the cooking festival was announced to begin, the host immediately introduced the 100 contestants participating in this competition. First was the reigning champion from last year, the top-ranked king of cooking, Zaz. Next was the 6th-ranked chef who captured the hearts of all sweet-toothed girls, Enio. Following them were the 4th-ranked curry king, Damala, then the 5th-ranked medicinal cooking specialist named Yuda. The 14th-ranked Wabutora and the 17th-ranked Libear appeared in sequence. Standing out among the chefs was the 2nd-ranked female chef, Setsuno. Without keeping the audience waiting for long, the eagerly anticipated figure, the head chef of the gourmet restaurant, ranked 88th. Komatsu quickly stepped out to cheers and applause. Seeing Komatsu looking worried, Toriko encouraged him wholeheartedly, boosting Komatsu's confidence. Meanwhile, the Bishokukai group had also prepared to execute their plan. The host finished introducing the chefs' names, while Rin continued diligently with her task of taming her beastly creatures. Mansam and Shigematsu were worried about the Bishokukai's plot. At the cooking stadium, Patch was invited to the stage to give the opening speech. After observing the contestants in front of him, he warned them to ensure food safety and hygiene during cooking, or they would risk receiving embarrassing one-star reviews from the media. Komatsu, upon hearing this, looked bewildered, and Toriko shouted from a distance to boost Komatsu's spirits. After a speech full of threats and assurances for the safety of the competition, Patch was applauded by the audience and stepped down. Wabutora, the oil king, came to greet Komatsu as he had heard of him for a long time. He quickly shook Komatsu's hand in greeting, leaving a handful of cooking oil in Komatsu's hand. The elder chef Kama also came to thank Komatsu for his contributions to the world. Then, other contestants like Speed King Tun and Chef Narimaro came to greet everyone. An elderly hermit chef, radiating an aura of wisdom, appeared to deliver a lecture. Komatsu took the opportunity to ask for autographs from each person. The top 2 chefs stood apart, observing the other chefs conversing with each other. Zaz expressed his desire to retire after the competition, but Setsuno disagreed, believing that as long as people still eat, there will always be a need for cooking. Neither of them was willing to yield the title of super chef. When they faced off against each other, the audience erupted with excitement. The members of the G7 group were also eagerly anticipating the competition. Meanwhile, as Komatsu was still fretting, the host quickly introduced the format of the first round. Contestants would have to participate in physical activities such as swimming, racing, and endurance running before cooking. This round would eliminate half of the initial contestants. They would have to swim across Takoyaki Island to collect ingredients. Next, they would have to run through various mountains and collect cooking utensils at the foot of Okana Hill. The fastest person would choose the best ingredients. In this situation, Komatsu was in danger, but Toriko still had faith in him, while the youth zebra remained calm and continued eating recklessly, ignoring everything. At this point, the competition had begun at the referee's command. Tina was right by the rice coast, ready to report, and even prepared a mouthful of raw rice to stave off hunger. Contestants on the shore were warming up their limbs, while Komatsu worried about being eliminated from this round of the competition. Meanwhile, Toriko and Zebra remained calm, competing to see who could eat faster. Mr. Manchi, clumsy as ever, stumbled as he stepped onto the stage, accidentally squeezing the trigger of his gun, causing everyone to immediately dive into the sea and swim to the island to gather cooking ingredients. The audience above cheered and encouraged them. At this moment, a mysterious young man who was still asleep suddenly woke up, realizing that he had missed the competition. While other chefs were swimming like athletes, Komatsu swam like a child learning to swim. However, many people, both familiar and unfamiliar, attentively watched and cheered on the contestants. Currently leading was Mami, ranked 29th, known for being the head chef of an underwater restaurant, hence the menu consisted mostly of fresh sashimi. However, Wabutora, the oil king, used his unique skill to run on water, taking the lead with his deep-fried menu. The contestants behind were still in hot pursuit, with Komatsu struggling to keep up. Both Sani and Toriko admitted defeat as they realized Komatsu couldn't swim. Just as Komatsu was about to sink, Zebra suddenly created a sound buoy to help him. Komatsu was relieved to swim back to shore easily, but then Setsuno appeared. She thought Komatsu was drowning and came to rescue him. Seeing her standing on the water, Komatsu was surprised and greatly admired Setsuno. The truth behind this technique was that before one foot sank, Setsuno immediately lifted the other foot, moving so fast that others couldn't see it. Seeing that Komatsu was okay, she gracefully glided across the water's surface. Feeling that this was a fair competition, Komatsu requested Zebra to remove the sound buoy so he could rely on his own strength. Zebra, though indifferent on the surface, still cheered him on wholeheartedly. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure observed the competition from above with a sinister smile. Komatsu struggled while swimming. While Wabutora used the buoyancy of oil to ride the waves effortlessly, yet Setsuno easily surpassed him. Behind them, top-ranked Chef Zaz and Speed King Tun chased after. Despite swallowing countless gulps of seawater, Komatsu remained determined to swim to the finish line. Setsuno reached the first destination and leisurely selected the best ingredients for cooking. Tina, beside her, explained about the bicycles prepared for transportation. The contestants had to use them to transport their chosen ingredients for cooking, and they quickly arrived to make their selections. As the competition heated up, suddenly, on top of a tall building, a mysterious figure with a sinister smile appeared. This person had decided to reveal themselves, and furthermore, he could stand at a 90-degree angle to the building. The host quickly introduced the newcomer. He wasn't a Spider-Man but indeed the final contestant in this culinary competition. The demon-faced chef named Tengu Brunch, ranked 3rd in the world, emerged. All the audience members were extremely excited by his appearance. Brunch took a deep breath and shouted loudly, "I will defeat everyone." Zebra remained silent, but everyone knew his style: less talk, more action, the hallmark of Zebra, the gourmet emperor. Brunch immediately leaped onto the table of the 4 heavenly kings, facing Zebra directly. Zebra mentioned a contestant named Komatsu, calling him his companion and claiming that he would humble Brunch's arrogant attitude. However, something seemed amiss. Komatsu wasn't actually Zebra's companion. Brunch declared his intention to defeat Komatsu, but the 4 heavenly kings swiftly responded, cautioning against arrogance and not underestimating others. After the exchange, Brunch dashed off. Though he appeared arrogant, the 4 heavenly kings knew Brunch's true strength was not just empty boasting. After struggling with the sea, Komatsu finally arrived at his destination, his body exhausted. In the distance, Brunch also arrived. Komatsu admired Brunch, but upon seeing Brunch's physique, he couldn't help but notice how immature it seemed. Komatsu acknowledged this observation, questioning how his culinary skills could compare to Brunch's. Komatsu was genuinely participating in the cooking competition, given his tendency to seek autographs from top-ranked chefs whenever he encounters them. Sani angrily questioned why Komatsu should seek the autograph of that arrogant guy. Brunch argued that the remaining ingredients were mere leftovers, but Komatsu eagerly examined each ingredient, envisioning delicious dishes. At that moment, the ingredients seemed to illuminate with joy, happy to be chosen despite being deemed ordinary. Brunch proposed to help Komatsu gather the remaining ingredients to create a unique dish. Despite the long journey ahead, Komatsu and Brunch collaborated. Sunny was annoyed, but Toriko found the collaboration remarkable, appreciating Brunch's kindness. Despite his forceful entry onto the table, Brunch managed to spill only glasses and bottles, ensuring the safety of the food on the plates and the drinks in the glasses. These actions made Toriko see Brunch in a different light, recognizing his kindness. Komatsu and Brunch, both passionate about food, immediately bonded as if they had been longtime friends. This camaraderie showcased the harmony among exceptional chefs. The journey to the cooking island is now jammed with a 120 kilometers traffic backlog, estimated to take 20 hours to clear. These giraffe deers are genetically engineered creatures derived from grass-eating deer. They have strong vision and smell, and when they emit a sound, it signals potential danger. The atmosphere at the festival is tense, emotions running high. After cycling to transport ingredients, participants will carry them on a long run to the cooking arena, but the race doesn't end there. Our chefs will cook the chosen ingredients at the cooking arena, and their dishes will be tasted by the 7G7 judges. Only 50 out of the top 100 chefs will advance to the next round. The leading chefs pedal ahead, while others like Livebearer and Kairu follow closely behind. Bizarre food queen Toriko not only carries weight but also fights off obstacles and uses the spoils as ingredients. She's a strong girl indeed. Restaurant owner Odin Genshan deals with a wild boar, using recipes dating back generations. He decides to cook soup with the boar, following the traditions of his ancestors. Demon mice attack the chefs, but the poisonous chef Thailand swiftly defeats them with 2 strokes. Komatsu pedals slowly, so Brunch pulls him along for speed. This is the real battlefield. Komatsu's spirits must be soaring. In a flash, Komatsu and Brunch catch up with the leading chefs. Brunch even sabotages the path to eliminate trailing chefs. This is the essence of competitive spirit. Sometimes, cunning tactics make for a thrilling contest. The current top ranks reach the Kankatsu mountain area. They abandon their bicycles and start running, but the speed of these elderly folks is remarkable. Truly, they are top chefs of the planet. Tina is at the equipment station, where chefs choose cooking tools provided by the organizers within an hour. Chefs must quickly select the tools they prefer. Coco believes that the key to winning this round lies in selecting the right ingredients and cooking tools. Setsuno, Zaz, and Yuda are the first to arrive, breezing through the equipment station. One might have thought these 3 would reach the finish line first. But no, Brunch and Komatsu arrive first. Brunch's victory seems to fuel his arrogance. 85 contestants complete the race, and the one who arrives at the finish line with Brunch is Chef Komatsu. Zebra listens to Komatsu's heartbeat, sensing his nervousness. Yet, the gourmet quartet still believes he'll be fine because cooking is his forte. Instead of choosing Milk's knife like Milk second, Komatsu opts for an ordinary one, surprising the audience and renowned chefs alike. Brunch questions Komatsu why he didn't use Milk's knife. Komatsu honestly replies that he didn't bring it because brunch helped him with everything so far. Komatsu decides to use a regular knife to make up for his dishonesty. Komatsu leaves Milk's knife behind, demonstrating that his purpose here is not about winning or losing but about honesty. Brunch turns away, calling him foolish yet intriguing. The four heavenly kings and Milk second praise Komatsu wholeheartedly. Patch lets Komatsu know that he greatly admires Komatsu's actions, and he will score fairly. Upon hearing this, Komatsu's heart beats faster and becomes somewhat unstable. Komatsu gradually calms down and listens to the call of the ingredients. After some consideration, Komatsu chooses hardshell crabs. With just one knife skillfully wielded, he impresses even the top chefs. Concentrating on what he loves to do, Komatsu pays no heed to the disparaging remarks around him. Living true to oneself like Komatsu leaves no room for complaints. The dish is simple yet impressive. The crab shells resemble crispy fries. Setsuno introduces the dish Komatsu made for everyone. Komatsu's dish is called beach fried rice, and the G7 group hasn't tasted it yet, but Toriko is already salivating. All the ingredients Komatsu chose are not wasted, they are leftovers but exceptionally delicious. Next, the top chefs will showcase their innate talents. The first place in this round goes to none other than Setsuno, and Komatsu also successfully advances to the next round. Now, they will begin the second round, and the arena unfolds below with a gigantic scale brought up. The first match on the scale of death is Lucky Cuisine chef Komatsu facing off against the Oil King Wabutora. The rules are as follows: the food on each side of the scale is equal in quantity. Chefs must quickly cook the ingredients and offer them to the audience for tasting. If the quantity of ingredients on one side decreases, the scale will rise, otherwise, it will fall. Since Wabutora uses the oil that Komatsu found, he wants Komatsu to use Milk's knife to compete with him. While Komatsu is still contemplating, Wabutora starts cooking with oil. In no time, Komatsu's scale drops. In a critical moment, Komatsu decides to cut the ingredients with Milk's knife. The elderly are very picky about fried food. And Wabutora's fried dishes make them eat easily and happily. Sani sees that Wabutora is spurred on by Komatsu's talent. Now, Komatsu is getting closer to the flames. Komatsu struggles to lift the ingredients into the oil pan and fry them with a large spoon, surprising the audience and viewers. It's a giant beef steak. Everyone thought Komatsu wouldn't cook it through, but after a while, it's done because Komatsu is very close to the fire. Thanks to the learning and training process with Toriko throughout the journey, the supersized beefsteak pieces are cooked in an instant. Komatsu learns not only from Toriko but also from Coco. His composure was evident from the Gourmet casino. The cheese slowly melts and flows over the steak. It's both cooking and performance art, and both sides of the scale are equal because they handled all the ingredients. Komatsu's beefsteak dish dominates entirely because he uses only natural fish oil, while Wabutora's ambition led him to mix second-rate oil with fish oil to speed up cooking, which backfired. Today, the oil genius Wabutora learned a valuable lesson. Chef Komatsu is the winner of this round, and Wabutora acknowledges what Sani said about Komatsu is correct. They shake hands happily like two friends. Komatsu's battle has boosted the spirits of Brunch, Setsuno, and Zaz on this side. Setsuno, Zaz, and the other powerful chefs easily secure victories. Only 25 chefs remain for the next round, where 16 will be selected to aim for the championship. In the next round, the rules are simple: the ingredients are on the islands, and a helicopter carries Tina to provide direct information about the islands the chefs will choose to participate in. This competition is to test the chefs' skills and their culinary luck. Each chef will choose their favorite island and use their skills to cook the best dish. For this contest, everyone will choose a companion to start with. For Komatsu, the companion he chooses is none other than Toriko. At the Maiden Island, Setsuno chooses Nono as her companion. Despite the cute appearances of the creatures there, Setsuno doesn't hold back and swiftly defeats them with a single kick. Toriko and Komatsu's group decides to choose Gourmet Island, where everything from the grass to the rocks is gourmet food. Toriko's appetite leads him to consider eating a flower, but Komatsu stops him because if the ingredients are consumed before cooking, they will be disqualified from the competition. On the other side, Coco was chosen by the poison cooking expert Thailand as a companion, while Tina has to go to Gigan Island to report because the unexpected companion of Brunch turns out to be Zebra. Because both of them are equally temperamental, they end up fighting each other immediately, with Tina on the side. Getting shaken. Elsewhere, Sani is chosen as the companion of medicinal cooking Yuda. They venture to find ingredients on the plant island because Sani fears encountering ugly creatures. Meanwhile, top-ranked chef Zaz selects Zong as his companion, simply because he opts for someone significant and doesn't feel the need for a teammate. Zong, unsure about his talents, is astonished when he sees the island they've chosen is inhabited by a giant squid. It tries to attack Zoz, but he easily subdues it with a single strike. At this point, both Komatsu and Toriko have harvested a lot of ingredients, but the problem is that the ingredients keep replenishing every time they pick them. With this situation, Komatsu won't be able to complete the challenge. After a while, many contestants have finished their part of the competition. The first to present his dish is Thailand, whose poisonous shrimp easily captivates the judges' palates. Now, only Komatsu and Brunch have not returned. Tina, on the scene, reports that Brunch and Zebra are fighting, and unfortunately, many unfortunate creatures on the island have died because of their battle. Sensing time is running out, Brunch quickly brings them back to cook. Meanwhile, on the other side, Mansam is still keeping an eye on the Bishokukai, while Zin has to watch the festival through his phone. Meanwhile, Komatsu and Toriko feel discouraged because they can't harvest all the ingredients on the island. Feeling they won't finish on time, Komatsu suggests Toriko eat all the ingredients they've collected. Though he says so, Komatsu is inwardly tormented, making Toriko lose his appetite too. Komatsu holds back his emotions, urging Toriko to eat while enjoying the scenery. Toriko, trying to comfort him, starts analyzing the nature of the plants around them and discovers that the soil above is incredibly rich. When rain falls, the water seeps through the ground, blending with the island's ingredients and flowing into the sea. The seawater holds the essence of the entire island, and the creatures that can absorb it are oysters. If they catch one, it's like obtaining the essence of the entire island. Without many words, Toriko immediately dives into the sea to catch oysters. In no time, he finds a massive oyster as big as the island itself, with an incredibly tough shell that even Toriko's flying fork technique can't break. Provoked, the oyster charges at Toriko, intending to ram him, but Toriko remains calm, making gestures before the meal and then unleashing 10 incredibly powerful punches that shatter the hard shell, revealing the succulent and nutritious oyster meat. Finally, Komatsu uses the oyster meat to treat the judges, squeezing lemon over the meat to enhance the flavor. Not only that, but the fried oyster dish also garners praise from everyone, with Toriko continuously eating until Komatsu has to remind him to eat less if he doesn't have a girlfriend. Brunch is extremely confident with his monster meat dish, while Zebra just wants to eat the meat plate. Brunch hurriedly brings the plate to the judges for tasting. Finally, the list of the 16 contestants who passed the third round is announced, luckily including Komatsu. However, unfortunately, he will have to face the top-ranked Chef Zoz in the next round. After that, the list of other pairs is also announced. At this time, the Giraffe and Mansam sense the impending danger, and all 4 Heavenly Kings are ready to face the Bishokukai organization. The 16 faces who made it through the third round have emerged, but the danger named Bishokukai is approaching. Meanwhile, inside the waiting room, Komatsu faces immense pressure because he is considered a strong candidate for the championship. At this moment, he meets an old friend, Uemi, and the two friends embrace warmly after a long time. Uemi praises Komatsu's honesty and fair play in the competition, which moves him to tears. Uemi also cries with him because shared tears are joyful. Komatsu quickly asks about his old friend Otaki, but Uemi is unsure of his whereabouts. Toriko, Sani, and Koko appear, and Komatsu introduces them to Uemi. Seeing Toriko and everyone being so close to Komatsu, Uemi admires his friend a lot. Komatsu explains that Uemi is the chef of Nacom Gourmet School and is acquainted with Ms. Samayer. While they're chatting, Uemi is called away by a bodyguard because he's now the chef for Chairman Moi, a millionaire and owner of a famous gourmet travel conglomerate, who seems to be plotting something very secretive. On the other side, Brunch is recharging his body with energy, sensing that something unpleasant is about to happen. Toriko also feels like he's being watched by someone. The host announces that the showdown between Komatsu and the top Chef Zoz will begin in a few minutes. Sani and everyone encourage Komatsu with all their might, while Toriko believes that he will definitely defeat Zoz. Hearing those words made Komatsu very happy and filled with confidence as he stepped out onto the tournament stage. As soon as Komatsu left, the Toriko team immediately returned to a state of readiness, sensing the imminent danger. Outside, the host announced the beginning of the match between the newly famous chef Komatsu and the world-renowned Chef Zoz. Zoz had won 14 consecutive victories in 14 culinary festivals. Zoz told Komatsu that he would compete to his fullest without giving Komatsu any leeway. The host introduced the rules of this tournament. The two chefs would have to cook in a completely dark room. They had to rely on their senses and experience to cook, as even a small mistake in the cooking process would affect the quality of the dish. Komatsu and Zoz entered the dark room, with darkness surrounding them. Komatsu had to grope his way through the darkness to find the kitchen and ingredients. Meanwhile, Zoz had already started cooking. Komatsu had to bend down and grope further. While concentrating, he suddenly felt he had caught something, but then a terrifying heat and glowing red eyes appeared in the darkness. Toriko outside also sensed danger. At this moment, outside the festival, the Bishokukai forces immediately mobilized their monsters to attack Mazam's giraffes, causing their heads to fall. In the sky, countless GT robots appeared, along with other monsters, attacking the stadium and key areas on the island. Their purpose was to eliminate all the chefs present. At this moment, Star June appeared before Komatsu, causing Toriko to be extremely furious. Outside the stadium, the giraffes reared up, transitioning to attack mode, continuously emitting energy beams from their mouths to destroy the invaders. Mazam also used electricity to activate his muscles, transforming into a giant for battle, as the war had officially begun. Outside, the Bishokukai monsters and GT robots had to face off against Mansam's defensive forces, causing the audience watching the cooking festival to feel extremely worried. Inside the arena where Komatsu was competing, he was seized by Star June, and fear was evident on his face. Despite his efforts, Komatsu couldn't escape. Zebra created sound waves from a distance to protect Komatsu, while Coco transmitted deadly toxins through Zebra's sound waves to Star June's hand, but he easily neutralized them. Sunny above used his senses to try to bind Star June, but it was ineffective. He ignited a blue flame, burning both his senses and the area where Komatsu was competing. The monsters on this side have arrived, and the people are running in panic. The sous chefs of the Bishokukai appear, the chefs ready to fight. Brunch promises to deal with them all for ruining the epic tournament. In the midst of the dangerous situation, Toriko also steps forward behind Star June to rescue Komatsu. Both exchange intense gazes, creating a significant disturbance. Inside, the chef Zaz, left unprotected, has been defeated, surprising Setsuno greatly. Toriko swings his leg, creating a giant blade flying towards Star June with great destructive force, but luckily, Zebra creates a sound barrier to protect the audience. Then Toriko kicks on the other side, creating a flying fork that surprises Coco and Zebra. Coco starts using his power to shoot poison bullets at the monsters in the sky, but suddenly they are stopped and sucked into a giant vacuum tube. It's Grinpatch, the king of odd eats, who even considers Coco's poison as a delicacy. Sonny, protecting Komatsu, suddenly has a giant crab claw cut off a chunk of his hair. It's Tommy, making Sunny horrified by this insect-like creature's ugliness. Sonny, disgusted, turns his hair yellow, resembling a Super Saiyan to fight Tommy. The monsters gradually attack the people, but an electric surge flies to destroy the giant monsters, led by Brunch and other top chefs forming a battle team. After a series of continuous attacks from Toriko, Star June remains steadfast as if nothing has happened. The sky is now filled with the creatures of the Bishokukai. During the journey hunting the puffer whale, Toriko experiences fear induced by Star June. Toriko asserts his determination to protect all the chefs, especially Komatsu. Toriko grabs Star June and delivers a nail punch, followed by another punch, sending Star June flying far away. Star June realizes that Toriko can now unleash powerful punches without sweating. Toriko claims he can punch all day without fatigue and then rushes to deliver another punch to Star June. Star June decides it's enough, unleashing his killer intent and delivering a punch to Toriko, knocking him into a pile of rubble. The GT robots replicate in overwhelming numbers, along with countless monsters outside. Rin and Mazam try to defend, but Mazam has lost control due to being drugged in hopes Rin will leave as he can't control himself and might do something terrible. Everything in the arena is destroyed, and the festival has ended. Brunch approaches Komatsu, surprised that someone as weak as Komatsu hasn't fled. He advises Komatsu to escape because capable chefs will fight here. Brunch creates lightning to disperse the approaching monsters. Livebearer and Wabutora attack fiercely, proving that even chefs can fight fiercely. As Rin runs, she releases a sleep-inducing gas at the monsters, made from the Lazy King ingredient. Some monsters are unaffected, so Rin prepares her laser sword for attack. After taking a full blow from Star June, Toriko struggled to get up from the rubble. Toriko unleashed 50 fork punches, causing Star June to fly through the wall, but Toriko relentlessly pursued him and continued to unleash his fork punches, sending Star June flying out of the stadium. Toriko followed him, using a boomerang combined with a flying fork to attack Star June head-on. Star June fell, and Toriko delivered a powerful punch that sent him crashing into a nearby mountain. This relentless combo shattered Star June's mask and armor. Meanwhile, Masan fought alone, laughing as he defeated numerous GT robots, his muscles bulging with each strike. The chefs in the arena launched fierce attacks, but their numbers remained relentless. Toriko and Star June, both handsome and powerful, summoned their appetites for battle, charging at each other. Toriko landed a fork punch to Star June's abdomen, but Star June countered with a blow to Toriko's mouth. As Toriko fell, he spun, creating a leg-made blade. Star June countered with fire, but Toriko created a fork shield. Seizing the opportunity, Toriko jumped, forming a hand blade and struck Star June, but it was Toriko who fell first. Toriko pushed Star June away by his hair, but after a relentless assault, Toriko's arms were immobilized. Masan sat atop a pile of GT robot corpses, reminiscing about his past encounter with Godfather. Godfather taught Masan that with great power comes great responsibility and subdued Masan with a single finger. Since then, Masan's power had been sealed, and now he used electric shocks to release the seal, his strength increasing by the minute. Meanwhile, the chefs continued their battle against endless waves of creatures. In a dangerous moment, Komatsu received help from the Rice King's grasp, and the sous chefs of Bishokukai began to join the fight. Match and the Gourmet Knights were ready for action, as Match once again faced the dual-muscled opponent, determined to defeat him once more. Despite the efforts of the Yakuza and the Gourmet Knights, they were overwhelmed by Yu's single-handed onslaught. Takamara battled a half-human, half-beast mummy, breaking its ribs, but the creature retaliated, sending Takamaro crashing into a wall. The pot artisan Kuribo, tasked by the IGO president to monitor Kusero, suspected him of being a spy for Bishokukai. After clashing with Takamaro, the half-beast mummy turned its attention to Brunch, hoping to capture him alive for the boss. Brunch, without many words, unleashed a 1000 volts current, more powerful than Pikachu's. Toriko and Star June on this side are still fiercely battling, with consecutive blows from both. After a while, Star June begins to show signs of exhaustion but still doesn't forget to provoke Toriko. Yu on this side calls upon the mighty beasts to end this meaningless battle as quickly as possible. Star June suggests that instead of warming up, Toriko should use his full strength now, as their current combat appears weak. Hearing Star June's challenge, Toriko immediately unleashes his flying forks, followed by thousands more converging to create two large forks charging at Star June. However, he evades them all and appears behind Toriko, and both immediately exchange powerful blows to the chest. Toriko continues to emit the aura of his Gourmet demon, hoping to deliver a decisive blow to Star June. At the arena where Brunch fights against the half-human, half-beast Elg repeatedly tries to persuade Brunch to join the Bishokukai, but Brunch is not easily swayed. Brunch continuously unleashes bolts of 100,000 volt electricity at Elg, yet after countless strikes, Elg remains steadfast. The local residents scatter in panic. Uemi loses sight of Chairman Moi, suddenly spotting him and chasing after him. Other billionaires and IGO traders are discussing the ongoing conflict between IGO and Bishokukai. The Rice King throws salt into the eyes of the beasts here, thinking he has won. He lets his guard down and is stealthily attacked by a Nitro creature. Not only this Nitro but others appear as well. The blue-skinned monster is Zarajira, the chief of food management, alongside Gur, Bishokukai's talent scout. Yuda comes to aid the Rice King, urging Komatsu to flee. Toriko and Star June on this side fight tirelessly, with neither gaining the upper hand. Toriko's attacks are easily countered by Star June, except for his boomerang, which drains Toriko's strength. Yuda engages in combat with the Gourmet Nitro World monster. As soon as he charges, it strikes him with one hand, knocking away his sword and forcefully pressing him to the ground. Then, it lunges to attack the chef Damala. Livebearer rushes in to assist, swinging his blade repeatedly at the Nitro monster. Despite the barrage of attacks, the damage inflicted seems negligible, and the Nitro retaliates, causing Livebearer to collapse. The two Saisiya swiftly rush in, using their rescue Firefly lights, and proceed to aid Livebearer. Everyone wonders why such terrifying creatures like the Nitro are obedient to the Bishokukai. Cairo steps forward to provide a simple explanation. It's because the leader of the Bishokukai is essentially a tyrannical demon who not only tames Nitro but also commands other powerful beasts through the honor of gourmet food. Cairo removes his mask and prepares to fight the Nitro creatures. Meanwhile, Coco's toxins are absorbed by Grinpatch, rendering his attacks ineffective. Unyielding, Coco continues his assault, but Grinpatch absorbs his toxins and retaliates with a potent poison storm. Coco removes his headband, shooting continuous toxins at Grinpatch, who swallows them all. Coco then leaps, attempting to cut Grinpatch's suction tube, his vulnerability. However, the tube is reinforced with Gourmet World Oak resin, harder than diamonds. Unfazed, Coco presses on, relentlessly attacking him. Toriko and Star June continue their relentless battle. Toriko weakens while Star June remains robust, blasting blue flames at Toriko. As Komatsu flees, he prays for culinary divine intervention and is fortunately protected by Zebra's sound armor. Yun, the penguin, comes to Komatsu's rescue after he's knocked down by a monster. Coco persists in battling Grinpatch, whose suction tube undergoes unexpected transformations. After a series of attacks, Grinpatch swallows Coco whole, laughing triumphantly. Though Toriko falls, he rises defiantly, declaring that I am now stronger than ever before and that change is inevitable. Luckily, Coco on this side is still alive. Earlier, Coco created a fake body out of poison to deceive Grinpatch, a result of training with his comrades. Toriko, while fighting, recounts stories from the past about the strength he and his teammates have built, which is the power of friendship. Not only that, but his current strength is also thanks to the dishes Komatsu has cooked. After some talk, he flies in to deliver a powerful blow to Star June's abdomen. On this side, Coco also reveals his robust muscles, surrounded by poison. Once again, Coco attacks Grinpatch with poison cannons, which Grinpatch absorbs into his stomach, causing it to swell like an elephant's belly. Grinpatch retaliates by shooting poisonous darts at Coco. Komatsu sees Coco fall and wants to rush to help, but with Coco's body full of toxins, no one can approach. Grinpatch inhales deeply, creating a poisonous vortex attacking the arena below. The destructive force creates a giant hole, and fortunately, Yun rescues Komatsu from it. Komatsu can only watch helplessly as his comrades slowly fall. However, Coco is still strong enough to prevent Grinpatch from touching his friends. Coco believes that the Bishokukai is here to capture the chefs because chefs in this gourmet era are more precious than social idols. The battles are also about fighting for the chefs. They are irreplaceable in this era. Coco is determined to risk his life to protect Komatsu because the dishes Komatsu and other chefs have created bring warmth, satisfaction, and hope to people around the world, especially to crying children, wherever they may be. Therefore, Coco must fight to protect everyone. It is the duty of a gourmet hunter. Coco's words illuminate the darkness of this gloomy atmosphere. Grinpatch then uses a poison tornado, and Coco counterattacks with a poisonous spear. Grinpatch advances toward Komatsu, but Coco appears from behind, embracing and squeezing him tightly before both plunge into the deep pit together. On the other side, Starjun becomes more serious as he feels Toriko getting stronger day by day. Sunny closes his eyes to focus his spirit on battling the repulsive monsters before him. Tommy continuously regurgitates insects from his mouth, causing discomfort to everyone, including Sunny. Tommy relentlessly attacks with a swarm of disgusting insects, and Sunny fights back using his frying pan, dazzling light sweeping away the monsters. Toriko and Starjun release their gourmet demons and glare at each other, then launch into direct attacks. Komatsu, trying to escape, is surrounded by the insect swarm. Tommy finds Sunny fascinating and releases adhesive level 90 bugs, but Sunny, now stronger and more formidable, creates a protective shield with his hair, followed by a thorn rain attack, defeating all the ugly bugs. Not stopping there, Tommy releases large insects in hopes of cutting off all of Sunny's hair. The bugs fly in to cut Sunny's hair, knowing it hurts as much as pulling a tooth. When Sunny was young, he accidentally broke the chairman's precious vase, but instead of scolding him, the chairman bandaged his wound. He also said that everything will eventually break, and when that happens, a new light will shine on this era. Now witnessing the scene of the monsters rampant and the screams of everyone, Sunny's heartache is worse than ever. He is transformed into strength, his hair has turned into a golden color, now Sunny looks no different from the Super Saiyan form level 3 like Goku. The bugs, even if they wanted to, couldn't cut Sunny's hair. More importantly, each strand of hair grows from hunger, it grows to the point where it can spread throughout the universe, so Tommy's bugs are nothing compared to Sunny's power. A bug has been pierced by hair, while the others are quickly crushed, but this also makes Sunny's mind increasingly irrational. Tommy sees Sunny is really strong, so he decides to take action himself. Calmly dealing with his bugs because they are too useless, he lands on the ground facing Sunny, but before he can attack, he is already hit by Sunny's hair, breaking an arm. But the problem Sunny faces is also very serious, something is waiting to break out and control Sunny's mind, so before it's too late, Sunny has to defeat his opponent as quickly as possible. Tommy uses his speed to dodge Sunny's hair with eyes formed by hundreds of tiny eyes. He can observe all the movements of Sunny's hair and realize that in this form Sunny cannot fully control his hair, so he takes the opportunity to get close and attack. Sunny had no choice but to revert to his old form for defense, but while focusing on attacking Tommy. Tommy's severed arm unexpectedly grabbed Sunny's neck from behind. Seizing the opportunity, Tommy rushed in and landed a punch on Sunny. He grabbed Sunny's hair, then kneed into his abdomen, using force to throw Sunny to the ground. Finally, he coldly used his hand to stab through Sunny's chest. At that moment Sunny's seal is also broken. Tommy is joyful but unexpectedly realizes that his hand is stuck, while Sunny's hair turns yellow again covering his face. Now he can fully control each strand of his hair. Tommy cannot move, although he doesn't see any of Sunny's hair clinging to him. It turns out that Sunny has used his cut hair to lock him tightly. Sunny also knows that Tommy's severed arm can be controlled remotely, so he deliberately creates this trap to lure him. Now with this bright hair Tommy's fate is sealed, but he is also the first person who can touch Sunny and cut so much of his hair like this. Now both are extremely focused before the opponent's final blow. In a moment Tommy's left arm is swallowed up by Sunny's hair. The hungry demon inside Sunny is extremely dangerous, and then when both attack, Tommy is pierced by Sunny's hair. He tries to fight to the end but still cannot escape the fate of being swallowed up by Sunny's hair. Although victorious, Sunny himself has been quite seriously injured. Komatsu, at this moment, witnessed the people protected by Zebra being escorted to safety. Now, Komatsu only hoped that Toriko remained safe. On the other side, Brunch saw the face of Elg. Before he could introduce himself, he was struck by high-voltage electricity, but surprisingly, Elg could still regenerate as before. Even after enduring a lightning strike from Brunch, he could still recover and counterattack. This makes Brunch unable to understand. The truth was that Eld was the oldest member of the Bishokukai organization. His lower body was the Horse King, an immortal from legend. To attain the eternal youth and immortality of the Horse King, he fused with it. Upon hearing this, Brunch immediately drew his Thunder Sword to verify Eld's immortality. In a flash, he lunged forward and unleashed the Thunder God's Fury technique to shatter Eld into pieces. However, Eld, being truly immortal, regenerated his cells, surrounding Brunch with multiple replicas. A figure emerged from the ground, seizing Brunch's leg to allow another to leap forward and attack him. It turned out that within Eld's body, there were cells of tapeworms, creatures whose body, when severed, could regenerate into new entities. This revelation made Brunch realize that his opponent was indeed living up to the legend of immortality. Meanwhile, a surprise unfolded as Kuribo turned out to be a spy. He captured Ume, who fortunately was spared due to being Chairman Moa's personal chef. He, along with several others, were members of the NEO group, infiltrating numerous spies into IGO and other organizations worldwide. More importantly, the group included Zaz, a top chef. Brunch became more serious now. He continued to use electric currents to attack his opponents, creating a thunderstorm that assaulted all of Eld's replicas. However, over time, Eld's resistance to electricity increased, and hundreds of Elds immediately rushed to gang up on Brunch. As the two batteries around Brunch's neck ran out of power, Eld did not expect this to be part of Brunch's plan. He could convert the attacks he received into electricity. Brunch unleashed a powerful lightning strike, infusing his blood into his enemy's body, turning it into a conductor that incinerated the Elds to their very cells. Regardless of how many times Eld regenerated his body, Brunch's blood remained inside, shocking him. Finally, Eld could no longer bear it and revealed his true form, over 200 years old. Feeling ugly, he covered his real appearance, but to Brunch, he looked handsome compared to the mutant creatures in his village. Upon hearing this, Eld smiled and dissipated into dust. At this point, Zebra had completed evacuating the people from the arena and was ready for combat. The audience and Tina outside the stadium couldn't understand how they could safely leave. The host immediately used the microphone to announce that it was thanks to Zebra. Meanwhile, Yuta and Kairu couldn't stop the Nitro monster. Other chefs were quickly subdued and captured by the Bishokukai. Just as the monsters were about to attack them, they sensed an extremely dangerous presence, akin to death itself, which was none other than Zebra. Meanwhile, Zong and his two siblings were planning to escape, but Zong wanted to stay because if he left, who would defeat Nitro? His younger sibling expressed profound admiration for Zong, touching him deeply as he hugged them both, bolstering his courage to fight. However, upon seeing the terrifying monster before him, he became frightened. Luckily, Setsuno arrived to rescue them. She instructed them to flee and leave the matter to the elderly. True enough, she swiftly defeated the lingering monsters with a single move. At that moment, Setsuno's opponent appeared. She was Chiyo, wielding a lightning-fast dagger to attack Setsuno. On the other side, Zebra easily knocked Zarajira thousands of meters away. As for Rin, she had to fight 3 opponents at once, so she summoned a gigantic sword and swung it in a sweeping motion, putting the monsters to sleep with a single strike. Match, on this side, also easily countered his opponent's attacks with his sword. Even though the opponent had increased strength, Match still managed to win. At this point, Zebra had to contend with a Nitro monster. He easily twisted its arm and delivered a blow, then used his sound gun attack. Taking a deep breath, Zebra unleashed a horrifying roar, followed by a sound punch, causing the remaining 2 Nitros to want to gang up on him, but Zebra blew them away with his bazooka sound waves. On the other side, Setsuno gained the upper hand by reducing the air pressure around her opponent, but her opponent also took advantage of it to increase speed, yet all her tricks were defeated by Setsuno. Unexpectedly, Kuribo grabbed her, and Kusero immediately drained her calories, while Chef Zaz used his sword to strike Setsuno. Fortunately, she was still strong enough to not be defeated, even managing to escape the encirclement. Seeing the scar on Zaz's eye, Setsuno remembered a legendary chef who won the championship in the first tournament. Named Joie, known as the Dark Chef, who was probably the one Zaz obeyed. Caught off guard, Zaz stabbed Chiyo because she was just blocking the way for him, and Kusero immediately struck her down. The purpose of the Neo organization is to create chaos through the battle between IGO and Bishokukai, and they have a deeper purpose. Zaz wants Setsuno to join the Neo organization. Of course, she refused. Now the Neo organization's spies, including Vice President Shigematsu, took action. He took advantage of Mansam's inattention and attacked him by surprise. Komatsu and Yun, after much effort, found Toriko, only to see Toriko being beaten up by Star June. Seeing Toriko being defeated, Komatsu couldn't believe his eyes. All the memories rushed back. Where was the strong Toriko against the monsters? Where was the Toriko who always defeated his enemies and became stronger after each battle, and happily smiled while eating delicious food cooked by Komatsu? Seeing Toriko's current situation, Komatsu was extremely worried, but he was not Starjun's opponent. Inside Toriko's mind, his demon continued to lecture on the power of friendship. When Starjun approached, Komatsu loudly called out to Toriko to wake up quickly. Toriko immediately got up and punched Starjun. Toriko said he only slept for a while and still couldn't get it. He would finish off Starjun first and then sleep. Starjun stood up proudly, asking Toriko how he wanted to die. Toriko said I could fight however I wanted, so they sized each other up. Starjun was surprised to see himself being hit, so he defended against Toriko's attack, while Komatsu and Yun quickly stepped aside. Starjun sensed Toriko's increased strength and was curious to see his limits, but Toriko said he had no limits, and now was the time to show him the best results of his training, the ultimate routine technique. On the other side, Zebra and the others are continuously gaining the advantage, while Mansam doesn't understand why Shigematsu betrayed. However, thanks to his ability to recall memories, he decides to stand up because he will not be defeated by anyone other than Chairman Ichiryu. Returning to the study session with Imaru, Toriko hasn't grasped anything yet but senses his danger. Toriko asks about the image of himself being shattered in his mind earlier. Imaru explains that it's the ultimate routine, a skill that can turn imagination into reality to execute attacks flawlessly. By creating illusions on the opponent, or rather turning all imaginations about one's strength into reality to make those imaginations real, users need to expend a lot of energy as well as absolute belief in their own strength. Only then can they win against any opponent. It sounds extremely fanciful, but at this moment, Starjun feels like he's become food on Toriko's plate. He then gets punched so hard that it shatters like a mountain. Reflecting on what just happened, Starjun understands why Toriko is so strong, but he still refuses to concede to Toriko, not willing to let this battle slip away from his grasp. They both look at each other for a moment before launching their attacks. Toriko's flying knife technique is not to be underestimated. Although Starjun manages to block it, facing a series of Toriko's attacks, he is forced to resort to his most powerful weapon, a flaming sword that destroys everything it touches. Seeing his opponent wielding the flaming sword and its danger akin to the laser sword from sci-fi movies, Toriko remains confident. Toriko uses the ultimate routine to imagine himself winning, but instead finds himself being split in two. Immediately, a slashing blow tears through the ground toward him. It seems that Starjun has also learned the ultimate routine from their encounter. Feeling overwhelmed, Toriko combines fork and knife to attack Starjun. Starjun then creates a wall of fire to protect himself, and Toriko takes the opportunity to land 50 fork punches followed by 60 spike punches on Starjun. Both exhausted, they continue to clash with each other. Meanwhile, the manager Jojo reveals himself as a neo-spy and blows up the Bishokukai base. Starjun, unaware of this, continues to fight Toriko. They exchange blow for blow. Even in the blazing flames of Starjun, Toriko remains undaunted, his cells constantly regenerate despite severe burns. But this also causes Toriko to consume a lot of calories. Regardless of everything, he still charges into battle with Starjun to the end. Komatsu cheers from the sidelines, while Toriko manages to knock away Starjun's sword and continues to land powerful punches on Starjun. Starjun doesn't yield and retaliates, exchanging techniques with Toriko to the end. Both fight until they collapse to the ground, but Starjun is the one who stands up first. Toriko also stands up, but as they prepare to unleash their punches, they hesitate because they sense the presence of someone else, who has now approached the stadium. Everyone there feels the presence of this mysterious figure, who rides a level 295 Dark Chef Snake. Approaching the arena. The tycoons and the 3 members of the G7 organization also sense his presence. The mysterious figure lands in the arena, accompanied by the young man Teppei. Zebra, with his super-sensitive ears, hears everything and plans to attack but is intercepted and controlled by Teppei's vines. It seems that Teppei is being influenced by the cloak-wearing man. The 2 Nitros flew in to attack him because they sensed he was the most dangerous one. The cloaked figure pulled out a strange knife and successfully subdued the 2 Nitros. Setsuno seems to recognize the knife and its wielder, as the knife is the legendary Cinderella belonging to a person named Frozy, the chef goddess. The cloaked figure, none other than the first champion of the tournament called Joie, unleashed a powerful slash with the knife. Setsuno had to muster all her strength to block it, but the force of the slash split the entire arena. Seeing Setsuno forced to wield her own knife in battle shocked Yuta beyond belief. Despite blocking the attack, she was injured. Sensing a powerful enemy, Toriko and Starjun temporarily stopped fighting and decided to head to the arena. Feeling Setsuno's weakness, Joie plunged the knife into the ground, reviving the 3 Nitros Zebra had defeated and ordered them to eliminate Setsuno. Setsuno prepared to fight but was restrained by Teppei's vines. At that moment, one of the Nitros was flung away, and the one who appeared was none other than Knocking Master Jiro. At this moment, Starjun, Toriko, and Komatsu rode their beasts back to the stadium. Starjun seemed worried, which left Toriko confused about what was happening. On the other side, the Nitro had been struck by Jiro's fatal acupoint, rendering it immobile. Jiro, realizing that Teppei was aiding the enemy, angrily shouted, "This idiot still hasn't woken up." The loud roar was so shocking that even Brunch was astonished. Jiro, one of the 3 strongest individuals and a terror to creatures in the Gourmet world of old, was known as the Beast King. In the Gourmet world, Ichiryu and Midora faced each other, while outside, the strongest of Igyo faced the strongest of Bishokukai. The starving beasts on the Gourmet world's lost islands were eager to make Ichiryu their prey, having endured hunger since yesterday. They wanted to feast, so Ichiryu activated the Conqueror's Haki, illuminating the surroundings, then his hand transformed into giant chopsticks, picking up the strongest beasts one by one. Midora, seeing this, also activated his Conqueror's Haki. Feeling that killing someone like Jiro would be a waste, Joie invited him to join Neo. Jiro, annoyed, slammed his hand into the ground, paralyzing everyone around, effectively immobilizing the entire island. In other words, he had acupunctured the entire planet, but Joie could still move. At this point, outside the arena, the geological formations rose due to the Earth ceasing its rotation. Joie marveled at Jiro, calling him a monster. Jiro immediately transformed behind him, shattering his cloak to reveal his true face. However, when this face appeared, everyone was utterly astonished because it wasn't Joie's face but the face of Chef Goddess Frozy. Seeing the geological formations rising, the individual immediately flew up and used the Cinderella sword to cut them down. Despite the striking resemblance to Chef Goddess, Setsuno and Jiro remained skeptical that this person was Frozy. Therefore, they decided to collaborate to find evidence. However, with the sharp blade in hand, he could easily dismantle the techniques of both Setsuno and Jiro. Despite witnessing the opponent's power, they still doubted that it was Frozy because she had indeed passed away many years ago before their eyes. The one bearing the face of Chef Goddess launched an attack. Setsuno, injured, couldn't dodge, and Jiro hurried to her aid, suffering severe injuries himself. They both decided to embrace each other in the face of imminent death, but Toriko appeared just in time to rescue them. Komatsu also arrived, but the situation was not pleasant. Starjun jumped down from his dragon, realizing who was in front of him and the revelation about Jojo being a spy for Neo. Surprisingly, the mysterious figure aimed at Komatsu. And Teppei appeared. Knowing he was being manipulated, Toriko found it challenging to handle. Komatsu tried to awaken Teppei but failed. Toriko and Starjun decided to intervene but were stopped by Teppei. Both were then freed by Setsuno, who, along with Jiro, decided to awaken Teppei. Joie now had to face Toriko and Starjun's killing intent, but he easily dominated them, showing his superiority and concern only for Komatsu. Toriko immediately unleashed his nail punch while Starjun used his flame lance, but both were knocked away within a second, and even his strike left a wound on both their chests. Meanwhile, in the world of Gourmet, the situation of the 2 strongest men was more tense than ever. Midora extended a long tongue that resembled the legendary Orochimaru, devouring several beasts and even Ichiryu's chopsticks. After that, Midora extended his massive, elongated tongue through the ground where Ichiryu was standing. But Ichiryu managed to leap up and evade it. Ichiryu then recalled the memories of the past. In the past, famine and war led to scarce ingredients, forcing Midora to steal from others to survive. He endured countless beatings and even fainted due to hunger. Fortunately, Chef Goddess Frozy found and took care of Midora with great affection. Frozy's care and nourishment quickly restored Midora's health, surprising Frozy herself. Upon seeing others approaching, Midora attacked, but Acacia overlooked him, considering Midora a new member of the family. Acacia named each member of his family. The eldest, Ichiryu, was called Dragon, the second, Jiro, was Wolf, and finally, Midora was named Tiger. From then on, the 3, along with Acacia, hunted rare ingredients. Jiro also introduced his traveling companion, Setsuno, to the family. Those moments together were the most precious to Midora until the day God appeared. It drove Frozy to search for God to fill the hungry bellies of people worldwide. This caused intense opposition within the family, but with her determination, Frozy couldn't be stopped, and upon her return, she fell seriously ill. Midora resolved to find the water of life to save Frozy, but it was guarded by the water dragon. After fighting the water dragon, Midora weakened significantly. Not wanting Midora to die for her, Frozy used her remaining strength to cook God for Midora to heal his wounds, sacrificing her life in the process. Midora mourned for 6 days and nights, and Frozy was buried on a high mountain peak amidst the grief of everyone. Acacia promised himself and others to change the world for the better. The war ended shortly after, and people worldwide enjoyed plentiful meals, but Midora lived on in memories because God had taken Frozy's life. Because God caused Frozy's death, Midora decided that he alone would consume God and all other ingredients in the world. Ichiryu threw a pair of giant chopsticks at Midora, but Midora quickly devoured them, causing Ichiryu to lose one arm. The loss of his arm caused considerable pain to Ichiryu. Meanwhile, both Toriko and Starjun were subdued by Joie. Toriko tried to block Joie's advance towards Komatsu, but it was in vain. Joie questioned Komatsu about the book he had found in the Gourmet pyramid, believing that whoever found it must have exceptional culinary luck, and Joie wanted to exploit Komatsu to obtain God. At that moment, Zebra unleashed his roar to attack Joie, having escaped from the troublesome roots, joined by Sunny and Coco. Seeing his friends gathered, Toriko urged Komatsu to flee since their mission was to protect him. Starjun felt saddened upon learning that his teammates had been defeated. Joie believed that all four heavenly kings were severely injured, questioning how they could possibly win against him. Joie reminisced about their first encounter in the kingdom of Jadar, where Coco realized the true identity of their opponent. Joie was indeed the personal chef of the Jadar kingdom's ruler, the Dark Chef. Seeing the four heavenly kings engage, Jiro and Setsuno put all their efforts into awakening Teppei. However, he suddenly used acupuncture on himself and then punched Jiro. This led to a fierce hand-to-hand combat between them, but with Teppei's current strength, Jiro needed Setsuno's assistance. On the other side, Zebra disregarded the identity of his opponent and immediately launched a sound orb combined with Sunny's poisonous hair technique straight at the formidable Joie. Despite Joie's immense power, he remained unscathed. Zebra persisted with his sound orb, but Joie swiftly countered it with his knife, followed by a series of slashing attacks. Even Sunny's hair couldn't withstand the assault. And all three had to brace themselves against the onslaught until Toriko intervened to create a barrier. Despite Zebra and Sunny's coordinated attacks, Joie effortlessly repelled them all with his sword. Inside, the members of the Neo organization had started to vote on recruiting additional members. They intended to utilize the reserve of ingredients at the casino and wait for Joie to return with Komatsu to persuade him to join their ranks. The battle with Teppei was intense. He easily severed Setsuno's sword, enraging her, but she managed to trap him by controlling the pressure around him. Jiro took the opportunity to push back Teppei. Though Jiro collapsed due to severe injuries, he successfully sealed the cells controlled by Joie in Teppei's body. Now, they could only wait for the outcome of Toriko's group's battle. However, the situation looked bleak, with even the four heavenly kings on the verge of defeat. Joie then proposed that Komatsu join the Neo organization to help him reshape the world's order. However, Komatsu refused because he was Toriko's teammate and his only wish was to find God and fulfill Acacia's menu. More importantly, Komatsu would never serve someone who viewed chefs as mere tools. Seeing this, Joie decided to send Toriko's group to heaven to threaten Komatsu, as the solar eclipse was imminent and God would appear, ensuring that Joie would never give up. Zebra asked if it must be very delicious, and Joie remarked that he was truly foolish, as having God in one's hands meant having the power to control the world. However, Komatsu didn't care about that, and not even the four heavenly kings would let someone like Joie interfere with Acacia's menu. Toriko also didn't give up because God would be the full course in his complete menu. Seeing that all four heavenly kings were still alive and well, Joie planned his move, but his sword suddenly was firmly held by Starjun. His forehead began to glow, and his third eye awakened through the battle with Toriko, awakening Starjun's gourmet cells. Starjun pointed his finger to the sky, concentrating his power and launching a direct attack at Joie. However, he was still no match for Joie. The heavenly kings then pooled their strengths, channeling and combining them. After much effort, they created a sphere containing the power of their friendship. Then, the four combined their efforts to push it towards Joie. Joie found this amusing and split the sphere in two with his sword, causing an explosion that blew them all away. On the Sky Island, Ichiryu had only one arm left and endured countless life-threatening blows from Midora. However, he understood that Midora had chosen the wrong path that Acacia and Frozy had set, so he had to help him at all costs. Ichiryu regained his arm and unleashed the King's Chopsticks technique, but Midora remained unfazed by the blow, effortlessly defeating Ichiryu with a single strike. He then summoned his Gourmet Devil and intended to devour Ichiryu. Back on the battlefield, the four heavenly kings were heavily injured, and Joie was determined to capture Komatsu by any means necessary, even if it meant using force. In his subconscious, Toriko reached out to his demon to borrow its strength. Toriko unexpectedly extended his demon arm, piercing through Joie's body. During the battle with Starjun, Toriko's gourmet cells also awakened. A demon would appear and instinctively consume everything. Joie constantly provoked Toriko's cells to transform so he could witness Toriko devouring his teammates, laughing at their shared desire for God. Joie follows the philosophy of enjoying delicious food alone and denying it to others if it's not to his liking. Under his influence, the demon within Toriko fully emerges. Meanwhile, before finishing off Ichiryu, Midora is suddenly reminded by Ichiryu of their childhood memories. Ichiryu talks about the desire to share one last meal with everyone, which brings tears to Midora's eyes. Nevertheless, he still decides to unleash his punch. His roar emitted a bright light that spread across the island. Terry on the hilltop noticed something and, with the Emperor Crow and Snake Queen, ran towards Toriko. The demon within Toriko emerged before everyone's helplessness, destroying everything in sight. Komatsu, suppressing his fear, ran to Toriko, shouting about their friendship, memories, and shared desire, but was devoured by the demon. In the depths of his consciousness, Toriko saw the demon and himself, determined to fulfill their dream of completing their full menu. The demon emitted a brilliant light. Soon after, a Toriko figure emerged, surrounded by a dazzling light. He had fully mastered his instincts, easily shattering Joie's sword and defeating him. Joie charges forward with his sword, but is blocked by the power of friendship, fueled by the adventurous memories that give strength to Toriko and the gratitude for the ingredients that make delicious dishes. Joie cannot comprehend this, believing that ingredients are merely tools for controlling the world. He then transforms into a giant demon to try to defeat Toriko. Appearing as a complete demon, Joie wields his sword to attack, but all his strikes are dodged by Toriko. Despite being pushed back, Toriko easily counters, punching away Joie's sword. They engage in a fierce hand-to-hand combat, where Toriko's attacks carry images of the ingredients he has consumed. Toriko overwhelms Joie effortlessly because he lacks appreciation for ingredients. Joie decides to unleash his strongest technique, drawing a circle and executing a life-ending strike. Toriko prays, surrounded by images of ingredients that quickly merge into his arm. He delivers an immensely powerful punch, pushing back Joie's attack and sending him flying into the sky. Thus, Joie is defeated along with his Cinderella sword, prompting other Neo members to flee immediately. Komatsu happily runs towards Toriko. Star June suddenly notices shooting stars in the sky, falling one after another. On Sky Island, Ichiryu is still alive because Midora showed mercy. Facing the meteor shower, Toriko and the four Heavenly Kings join forces to protect everything, including the animals and other people, and eventually, peace is restored. Star June decides to return to Midora. Komatsu asks Star June to deliver a message to Otaki, promising a rematch at next year's food festival. Star June advises Komatsu to deliver the message himself and promises Toriko to meet again in the Gourmet world for another showdown. At the hospital, Mansam are being treated, and the truth about President Shigematsu and Director Yum being spies is heart-wrenching. However, the immediate concern is to rebuild the city, and Mansam is finally praised for his handsome looks. Unexpectedly, Midora appears with President Ichiryu in hand, returning him to Toriko before leaving. However, Jiro and Setsuno didn't want him to leave with an empty stomach. Just then, Komatsu brought out a ocean soup to treat them, reminding him of memories with Frozy. They all sit together to eat. Midora sheds tears for the happiness of his small family in the past. And President Ichiryu is delighted to eat with his family again. Midora stands up to leave, thanking Komatsu for the delicious meal before returning to the Gourmet world. Ichiryu can only watch Midora leave, hoping to meet again. Later, Tina's news reports progress in the city's reconstruction, with free food distribution to the citizens, and many difficulties are being effectively addressed. Toriko and Komatsu stroll together. Toriko knows that Joie is still alive, and the mystery of him possessing the face and skills of Chef Goddess remains. However, Toriko is determined not to let anyone get their hands on the legendary god ingredient. Coco, Sunny, and Zebra are also on their way to the Gourmet world. Toriko, of course, cannot stay still. He holds Komatsu's hand, dragging him along despite Komatsu's apparent reluctance. Toriko and Komatsu embark on a new journey, facing strange creatures as part of their daily routine. Now, they explore unknown delicacies together on their journey. Thank you for watching the entire video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, like, share, and also hit the notification bell to receive updates when the channel releases new videos. Thank you.